On this week's episode of Before We Forget, we continue our discussion on the impact of the Beatles. Plus, join us for an exclusive clip of a Beatles reunion. It's a show about the experiences we love, told by the people who were there before we forget.
After the arrival of the Beatles onto the American pop scene, it became clear that they were more than just a group. They were four individuals with distinct personalities. My sister Lillie even had a favorite.
I used to like Paul in the beginning. He looked like he was the most animated and, But then, for some reason, when I found out more about them, I started collecting the magazines and then, cut out pictures. I have my whole wall. I got to know a little bit more about them, and I realized that Ringo had the same birthday, and they were always teasing him with the shorter one, and his nose was bigger than that one, and so I kind of took a little. I'm that type of person where I took a little how do you call it?
Affection for him.
Protection, yes. I think it was more. Well, his rings, he was different, totally different than them. It was the rings, it was the way he was playing the drums. Normally you play the drums with the, in a different way when you learn the drums, but he was playing them with two, the both hands going the same way. And actually that's, everybody started playing them that way.
You mentioned that Ringo became your favorite. I'd like to jump ahead. How many years was it that you and I actually had a fun experience with regard to Ringo, and I'd like to share a quick shot of that right now.
Okay.
And you want to talk about that day?
No. Oh my God, that I will never, ever, ever in my whole lifetime forget it. I was going to plan a trip to New York City. I'm living in Florida. I heard on one of the shows, one of the programs, that what Ringo was going to be on. And so I was watching it, one of the late night things. And he mentioned that he was going to celebrate his 70th birthday party at the Radio City Music Hall. And this was kind of early in the year, and his birthday's in July. I said, I got to do this. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it. But I was fortunate to be there on his 70th birthday.
Right. And before we went there, I found out through some internet site somewhere that he was going to be celebrating at the Hard Rock Cafe, that he was going to be celebrating there in Times Square. So I said, why don't we go and see if we can get a glimpse of anything that's going on there? And we were lucky enough. We got there just as he was about preparing to leave. And we have some quick footage that you got to the front of the line and you got to see Ringo Starr literally just maybe about a foot in front of you walk right by you.
You can actually hear Lillie shouting "Happy Birthday" to Ringo in this clip. Funny enough, Lillie was also celebrating her own birthday that week.
I would have been able to hug him if it wasn't that lady got in front of me.
And then we got to be there and chant and wish him a happy birthday at one of the early one, the Peace and Love thing. So that was a great experience two ways, because we got to actually wish him a happy birthday to his face, as well as get to see him within a couple of feet of us, then get to see the concert in which he was just a few rows away from us. And then at the very end of the concert,
who shows up?
At the very end of the concert, they bring out, someone brought out Hofner bass and set it right in the middle of the stage.
And the whole audience went nuts.
The audience went nuts, especially this one I'm speaking to here. Who I could hear. I was sitting in another section, but you were so excited that you actually videotaped a bit. I can actually play this. Normally you can't play clips on YouTube, but I can play this because all you're going to hear is screaming. So this is Lil at the Ringo concert that night when she saw the special guest star.
This surprise appearance was one of the first times that Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr, the two surviving members of the Beatles, performed together on stage in America in over 40 years.
Did you ever think that you would ever see them live in person at the time?
Never, and that's what got me, because I had one of those little cameras that you can take pictures and also film. But when Paul came out and I was looking through the little viewfinder, and behind him was Ringo, all of a sudden I just freaked out, because I started screaming, because it looked like the other two were there too, So it looked like I was watching the video. I said, "Oh my gosh, all these years, 46 years later."
Right. You still listen to them now, but was there a time where you stopped?
Yes. 1966, I was in mourning. My mom had passed, and that whole year from June 66 to June 67, all the way, that was one of our, I guess, customs to do, is to mourn for a whole year. You're still mourning all your life, but to give them that respect.
Right.
So we didn't listen to radio. We didn't watch television. I missed out on a whole year of music, which when I go back to listen, it wasn't a whole lot that I missed, I don't think.
Well, it depends on point of view, because, people from my generation, that's when it got good.
Yeah.
People from your generation, it got good before that.
That's probably my cutoff. That's probably why I enjoy the early Beatles mostly. And whenever I hear their music, it just takes me, boom, right back there. And I imagine, listening to it back then. But yeah, so that whole year I didn't listen to any kind of music. There was nothing. But then after that, there was the Young Rascals I used to listen to. Started coming. Rolling Stone. There's so many groups that started coming in from England. Jerry and the Pacemakers, Hermits. Then we started watching television, Hullabaloo, Shindig. Those were programs where they would bring, guest stars to sing.
Did you go to the Beatles movies when they came out?
Are you kidding me? No.
How was the reaction in the movie theater? Did people scream there as well?
The first movie, Hard Day's Night, I was to meet up with my sister. She was coming from work, and I had just gotten off of school, and I was waiting at the movie theater for her to, come. And of course, she was late, and I could hear the kids inside. The movie had already started, and I could hear the screaming and yelling inside, and I was going nuts. But we waited, and yeah, it was a lot of screaming. It was crazy to see them so big on big screen. I enjoyed it very much.
But did you see Help as well in the movie?
I saw Help, and again, it was in color, so you were like even better. It was a little crazy because of all the storyline was a little nutty, but yeah, it was good. And the music, I love the music in this.
My very first earlier exposure to them was Yellow Submarine. I think you had the album first, was it?
Yeah.
You bought the album, and I got hooked on those songs, especially All Together Now.
Yes.
I used to like. I was a little kid. I'd start, running around and stuff. But you brought me to the movies, and that was one of my earliest movies that I'd ever seen, if not the first.
You were about four, probably about
four or five.
Yeah.
And what I remember was, first of all, there was this humongous screen. It's nothing like the little postage stamps that we have today, but it was just a huge screen. This big, gigantic Beatles, and this. If you remember Yellow Submarine, there's that glove that goes around and does things. I remember being totally terrified by that thing. I was so scared.
If I recall, I'm not 100% sure. I think we had to leave the theater early because you were getting a little hyper there. And there wasn't, in those days, there wasn't the general audience or the
ratings.
The ratings.
Yeah.
They didn't have that then. They would, you just take your kids to the movies. Whatever showed up, that's it. But I thought you would enjoy it because it was the Beatles.
The colors.
And the music, because you
I did enjoy it. It actually stayed with me forever, and I actually helped a lot of the younger kids in my life also get into it. I noticed that they got into it at a very young age, around the same age. Well, the crazy thing is, it's now over 50 years since the breakup. They have a new movie coming out this year, probably some more new albums. Ringo just came out with something a couple of days ago. Paul's still going. Do you think that this is something that's going to keep going until those guys are just can't do it anymore?
I think so. I mean, they enjoy it so much, and for their own peace of mind, I guess. I don't know what drives them, because many other groups or many other people that are now in their age group, are sitting back and enjoying their lives and doing whatever. But there's something about them that I think it's instilled in them. They were born to do this, and this is what brings them joy. And I heard Ringo say one day, all I wanted to do was play. That's all he wants, to play the music.